Welcome to all. Today we will look into the springs, some theory portions about springs. Actually, in first part, we can discuss the stresses in helical springs of circular wire. Consider a helical compression spring made of circular wire and subjected to an axial load W as shown in figure A. Here in this figure, we can see that a helical compression spring made of circular wire, that means this cross-sectional area is a circle, and subjected to an axial load of W, axial load. Here this spring is subjected to an axial load of capital W. Then let D is equal to mean diameter of the spring coil. Mean diameter of the spring coil, that means this distance is equal to, this total distance is equal to capital D. Small d is equal to diameter of the spring wire. N is equal to number of active coils. Capital G is equal to modulus of rigidity of the spring material. W is equal to axial load on the spring. Tau is the maximum shear stress induced in the wire. C is equal to spring index. Spring index means capital D divided by small letter d. Small letter p is equal to pitch of the coils, and finally delta is equal to deflection of the spring as a result of axial load. As a result of axial load. Now, this spring shown in figure B is in equilibrium under the action of two forces. Actually, this part is in equilibrium under the action of two forces, one W, and other one the twisting moment T. Twisting moment developed in the this wire, spring wire, and the twisting moment is equal to W into D by 2. W into D by 2. That means this radius of this coil. D by 2 means radius of this coil. Then that twisting moment is equal to W into D by 2. D by 2, that twisting moment, and there is another force that's equal to our external load acting on the spring coil, that's equal to W. Then under the action of these two forces, W and twisting moment T, this particular portion is in equilibrium. Then the T is equal to W into D by 2, W into D by 2, and that's equal to pi by 16 into tau into D cube. Pi by 16 into tau into D cube. We can have this tau 1 is equal to 8WD divided by pi D cube. This equation is available in the KM data book, page 169. Equations 11.1a, b and c. Equation number 11.1a, b and c. These all equations are available. This twisting moment, then this torsional shear stress, this tau 1. Tau 1 is equal to 8WD divided by pi d cube. Then, in addition to the torsional shear stress induced in the wire, the following stresses are also act on the wire. First one, direct shear stress due to W, and second one, stress due to curvature of the wire. That's also there in the case of a spring coil. Actually, the load W, the load W tends to rotate the wire due to the twisting moment T set up in the wire. The load W tends to rotate the wire due to the twisting moment T set up in the wire. When this W is acting on this particular part, then there will develop a twisting moment. Thus, the torsional shear stress is induced in the wire. Torsional shear stress is induced in the wire. due to this particular twisting moment. Okay, in addition to this particular torsional shear stress, again there are two kinds of stresses are induced in the wire. First one, direct shear stress due to W, and second one, stress due to curvature of the wire. Then we know that the direct shear stress due to W is equal to load by cross-sectional area. This equation also available in the KM data book. We can refer KM data book page number 169, equations 11.1 A, B and C, etc. Then the direct shear stress diagram is shown in figure. This is the torsional shear stress diagram. Torsional shear stress is like this. At the outermost point of the cross-sectional area of the wire, there is a maximum torsional shear stress, and at the opposite end there is there developed a torsional shear stress which is in the opposite direction. That means if this portion is positive, then this portion must be in negative direction, then only that twisting happen. Then direct shear stress is always in one direction. Then the resultant of torsional and direct shear stress is like this. Here the magnitude of the resultant stress is decreases, but here the resultant stress will increase. That means this one, the resultant of this maximum value and this value. At this position, the resultant of this value and this value. That means this one upward, this one downward. That means at this portion, the resultant have a lesser value when compared to that of this at this side, when compared to the stresses induced in at this particular point. Okay, that is the condition. Okay, here again the maximum shear stress induced in the wire is equal to torsional shear stress plus direct shear stress. That means the sum of these two values, that's equal to this value. Again that's equal to 8WD divided by pi d cube into 1 plus 1 by 2c, where d by d is equal to c. We can substitute d by d is equal to c. Here again this value also, this equation also available in the KM data book, page number 169, equations 11.1e, 11.2a, and in the figure 11.3 there is a Wahl's stress factor for the helical sphere is available in this particular figure 11.3 of KM data book. Then maximum shear stress induced in the wire is equal to this value. This equation is also available in the KM data book. The value of K in this particular equation, value of K is given. Spring index, the value of K for spring index C may be obtained from this particular graph. Which is at the page number 169 of KM data book. Okay, then the deflection of the helical springs of circular wire. Here again we know that T by J, we also know that T by J is equal to tau by R is equal to G theta by L. R is equal to D by 2, capital D by 2. That's equal to, when that means the theta is equal to TL by JG. J is equal to polar moment of inertia, G is equal to modulus of rigidity of the material of the spring wire. This equation, then theta is equal to this one. This equation is available in the data book. This equation also available in the data book. Here theta is equal to angular deflection of the wire. L is equal to length of the coil into number of active coils, pi d into n. Length of one coil into number of active coils is equal to L. That's equal to pi into d into n. Okay, these all equations are equation of theta, equation for delta, all are available in the data book page number 170, equations 11.4, 11.5a and 11.7a. Here the stiffness of the spring or spring rate also available in the data book. These equations, equation for theta, equation for delta and equation for spring rate, that's equal to W by delta. W by delta. These equations are available in the data book page number 170. Equations 11.4, 11.5a and 11.7a. These are all important equations. Then the surge in springs. Here, when one end of a helical spring is resting on a rigid support and the other end is loaded suddenly, then all the coils of the spring will not suddenly deflect equally, because some time is required for the propagation of stress along the spring wire. Then the end coils of the spring in contact with the applied load takes up whole of the deflection, and then it transmits a large part of its deflection to the adjacent coils. In this way, a wave of compression propagates through the coils to the supported end from the where it's reflected to the deflected end, where it is reflected to the deflected end. This wave of compression travels along the spring indefinitely. If the applied load is fluctuating type, as in the case of valve spring in internal combustion engine, and if the time interval between the load application is equal to the time required for the wave to travel from one end to the other end, then resonance will occur. This results in very large deflections of the coils and correspondingly very high stress. Under these conditions, it is just possible that the spring may fail. This phenomenon is called surge. Surge is very important when there is a resonance occurs due to the fluctuating type load. At that case, there will be a resonance may occur. If that resonance will occur, then a very large deflections of the coils and correspondingly very high stress is induced in the spring. That may cause the spring failure. This phenomenon is called surge. Okay, then the surge in the spring may be eliminated by using following methods: by using friction dampers, or by using springs of high natural frequency, or by using springs having pitch of the coils near the ends different than the center to have. Pitch is different. In the case, usually we use the spring having equal pitch. That means the distance from this point to this point is equal to this point to this point to this point, equal pitch. But we can eliminate this surge, the phenomenon surge, by using spring having pitch of the coils near the ends different than the at the center of the center to have different natural frequencies. Okay, these are the three different ways to eliminate the phenomenon called surge. Then last, the buckling of the compression springs. It may be found experimentally that when the free length of the spring LF is more than 4 times the mean or pitch diameter D, mean or pitch diameter capital D, then the spring behaves like a column and may fail by buckling at a comparatively low load as shown in figure. This is a fixed end. This also a fixed end. When this free length of the spring is more than 4 times of the mean or pitch diameter, then buckling may occur. that closest buckling may be calculated by using the following relation. WCR is equal to K into KB into LF, where K is equal to spring rate or stiffness, W by delta. KB is equal to buckling factor and LF is equal to free length of the spring. Then we can calculate this the critical axial load WCR by the following equation. WCR is equal to K into KB into LF. K into KB into LF. Okay. We can take the values of buckling factor from this particular table. We can calculate, or we can take the values of the buckling factor. These are all about springs. Then in the next video we can discuss how to calculate various terms regarding the spring in detail. Thank you all.